No. All right, we are live.
We are live.
Mm-hmm.
Greetings, YouTubians. Everybody watching on DLive, if we're transmitting DLive.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
Possibly.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so we tried to do a premiere a few minutes ago. I think that was only like a 7-minute video, giving you guys a recap of our adventures in North Carolina and just, a summary, kind of abbreviated some of the injustices that we witnessed and suffered at the hands of law enforcement and the legal system here in North Carolina. So hopefully you saw that. If not, you can go watch it. And you can watch it in 2 times speed now that the premiere's over.
That's right. Knock it out in like 4 minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm popping into somebody's live or whatever, and it's not in, something critical that needs me to try to call phone numbers or something, I'll pause it or go do something and then come back and listen to it 2 times speed, because sometimes live communication is slow. Get the panel link up.
I don't, but I was going to say hi to people.
Go ahead.
All right. What is up, people? We have Mike Taylor, Autotron, QLD, Seth Sethman, We the People, Man Pants, Autotron, Keeper of the Lists, FDSS, Stevie, Friends in Code, Orb Spider, Greek Autonomy. Hey, what's up? Oh, Geek. Wait, I know you. Hi, Geek Autonomy. Let's see. Sasha, Taz News, Tacoma.
Hey, Taz. What's up, brother?
I already said Keeper of Lists. All right, what's up, people? Noli is in the house.
The infamous, the one and only, the incredible Noli D.
Keeper of the Lists, $5. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Keeper.
And it's little hippos popping up out of the water. They're really cute.
They're dangerous.
Hippos are dangerous.
They kill more people than crocodiles.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
You know, open the panel?
Yes, of course. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I got you.
Anybody wants to come up and chat for a few minutes? We're going to be on for a little bit. I'm in my jumpsuit.
Somebody commented on that.
Yeah, because they still have me here locked up.
Yeah.
This really crazy house arrest that they've punished me with, where they don't have any accountability as far as monitoring, or there's no point of contact for me to talk to somebody about, going to the few things that they say I can go to. They say I can only leave the house to go to scheduled medical appointments, visits with the attorney, and court. So that means no grocery stores, no bitten sustenance, no exercise to go, walk. And, I usually walk a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
All the time. So definitely negatively impacting my health. And, mental well-being and everything. And then you have, no religious activities or services or engagement there. And when it was, election time, they wouldn't let me go to do anything with that. So the hearing for this Rockingham County case, still the charge is pending of resisting a public officer, right? Because we have de novo at Superior Court. So I'm supposed to be presumed innocent, yet they're still punishing me actively. So that hearing is this Monday, the 30th at 10 a.m. in Rockingham County Superior Court. And it's at the hearing, pretrial hearing. We have a bond motion filed already, so hopefully we'll discuss that and get some freedom back, and hopefully the ransom back, and I don't know, we'll find out what they're going to do with this case and go forward from there.
Got Autotron on the panel.
Hey, dude.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Until they prove it.
Yeah, exactly. So by the time
Bigger.
this hearing comes up on Monday, it's going to be a total of 40 days house arrest, 10 days maximum security prison and isolation, 4 days in an isolation, bright isolation cell where they tortured me with the lights. And again, the sentencing bracket, because this is first offense, no prior convictions, would be 0 jail time.
But yeah, you've done all this other service for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You got to love the legal system, don't you?
Man,
Fucking
Crazy,
beautiful.
man.
Yeah. I mean, they really look out for your best interest.
Yeah. That's why it's called Just Us.
just us.
System. Yeah.
Actually, I don't think. Oh my God, I can't even go there. I was going to ask you, like, what do you think? I mean, like, are the chances of you challenging the validity of the de novo trial? I mean, I don't think the words de novo are mentioned in the U.S. Constitution anywhere, are they?
Not that I'm familiar with, but
I know trial by peers is mentioned, and you have the right to that before you're convicted of any.
oh yeah, they've thrown that out the window in most places, like most states. They say, oh well, it's misdemeanors, and you only have that right for felonies and all kinds of nonsense. And
Make it up as it goes.
yeah,
What
So,
is
in other words,
de novo? Oops.
I'm sorry, love. I just wanted to chit chat with the dude real quick. Real quick question. Like, in other words, what you've done is not really criminal, I guess, right?
No victim, no crime.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So you can write anything down
Yeah.
on a special piece of paper if you have a special title and you've given yourself special powers, and you say you're a legislator. You can call it law, and if somebody breaks it, then you can declare them criminal, which is essentially what the legal system is, where you have tens of thousands of quote unquote laws, and each state has their own set of tens of thousands. Then you have federal laws and all this nonsense that they say apply to you, and you're expected to know them and know how to not break any of them. There's an interesting book called 3 Felonies a Day that has the premise of, on average, Americans commit 3 felonies a day just because there's so many laws on the books. Like, does it make you a criminal if you break one of the edicts of the tyrants? Like, no. Like, if you create a victim, right? If you hurt somebody or their property, or you threaten to do so, or you defraud them, then you've created a victim. Like, that's it. It's plain and simple.
Now, I did a writing to some judges while you were incarcerated, and was saddened to hear that you actually got released. And I know that sounds a little contradictory, but I was saddened because I was like, I wanted to see my process work, And then when I found out that you got bailed out, I was like, okay, well, he's out, and that's good, right? But at the same time, I want to see if this judge was actually going to do his job under the statutes and release you because you had an excessive bail. I mean, like, and
Yeah.
by paying bail, you actually kind of circumvented that process. I mean, would you go back in time if you could, just to see what the judge would do in that circumstance, or are you happy that you got bailed out?
We'll save that answer for another day. We have this pending stuff. Once we have this stuff cleared up, then I'll discuss it more.
Okay.
On that. But
No problem. I'll let you go, and I'll get off the panel. But thank you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think your point is valid, and to some extent, I think there's, in their own wordings, in their own laws or whatever, like on the bond, the ransom documents, that they force you to sign, it says something to the effect of your admitting to falling under the jurisdiction of the court or something to that effect. I think that's what you're trying to get at. The problem with that premise is it is absolutely under threat, and it's under duress and direct coercion that I signed it, and probably most people sign it, and we voiced that to them as I was signing it or before I signed it. And anytime I sign anything, I voice it and record, the fact that this is not of my own free will. This is, you are forcing me to enter into this agreement, which nullifies it.
Okay, real quick, can I interject?
Yeah.
This is kind of what brought me in here. I wanted to talk about the restraint of liberty. Okay, and as far as I know, habeas corpus is a remedy for when there is a restraint, any restraint on liberty. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be when someone is incarcerated, like in a physical place, but it can also be any restraint on liberty, like with what's going on with COVID-19, or with what is going on with you right now, and how they have you on house arrest. I mean, your liberty is still restrained. That's why you have the orange jumpsuit on. And I was wondering, after all of this, have you thought about maybe researching habeas corpus and how that can help you in the future or even right now? Or have you just completely chalked off habeas corpus as any type of remedy at all?
No, I've researched it a little bit. I've talked to my attorney about that, and essentially the understanding I have is if we file a habeas motion, the judge, it's supposed to prompt an immediate response from the judge, right?
Excuse me. You said habeas motion?
Yeah, but a motion for habeas corpus.
You can't file a habeas motion. That's impossible because a habeas corpus is a separate civil lawsuit. There is no habeas motion. It doesn't exist. So I don't know what the fuck your lawyer is talking to you about. Like I think I told your lady in the past, I think the lawyer is fucking with you. But I think everyone on the panel will probably, and in chat, will agree that lawyers are paid to lie. They just lie to their clients. I mean, they really have the state as their first priority, right? It's true. And I don't know. I don't feel like they told you the truth about the habeas. So you can't file a motion because habeas is a separate civil lawsuit. You know what I mean? So, but there is one thing you could do is counterclaim or cross complaint in your suit. That might be something that you could try, which would shift the burden of proof, because that's essentially what the habeas corpus does, is it shifts the burden of proof for the loss of liberty over to the other side. And so I guess what I'm saying is I would hope that you would take some of these words and to heart and start to think about maybe after this thing blows over, right? Figuring out how to write your own habeas corpus from jail, or, figure out how to apply habeas in any other circumstance where you might need it. This way, you're always prepared in the future. You know what I mean? I don't want to leave you high and dry. You know what I mean? At least when I'm coming in here, I'm trying to at least contribute something meaningful. I'm not trying to be demeaning, but I know for a fact I can write my own habeas corpus from jail, and I would really like it if other people in the community, in the activism community, were able to do that same thing too. You know what I mean?
Do you have a guide set up? Have you made something to like a step-by-step guide or a template or anything like that to help people do that?
Do I have a guide for the habeas corpus? No, I don't.
Could you
But
make something like that?
I have some suggestions. Yeah, I definitely, for example, everyone that's auditing, all the auditors, top watchers, you could think about having one in your pocket. And this way, and it has the basics filled out. It doesn't have the county of your arrest or even the charges. Those are blank lines. And then when you get it into the situation, you will be able to just fill in the blanks as far as the charges are concerned. In other words, you expect these people to violate your rights because that's what you know they're going to do eventually anyways at some point, And so also
a big problem with that, like that idea, is as soon as they take you and book you in, they take all your property.
Yes.
So
right, but see, now that's why I was going to say that your right to your civil right, you have the civil right to actually write your own habeas corpus. That's a civil rights violation if they deny you a pen and a piece of paper so that you can write your own habeas from inside the jail.
I've been denied everything every time they've kidnapped me, so I wouldn't be surprised. What were you
crazy?
Eric said a couple of things. He said that you file a petition for writ of habeas corpus in Superior Court. To refer to it as a motion is perfectly acceptable, layperson, to me. And then he said that the problem with habeas corpus is that there are so many options. It has to be specifically tailored to your situation. I think it was in reference to the templates and trying to help others.
I hear what he's saying. No, I appreciate that. Let me see what he says again. I just want to look at this chat, but
so that's my understanding, was that if we filed the writ of habeas corpus, that all it requires is the judge to respond immediately. The way that, at least that's the way that they interpreted it. I think it's supposed to, like, the idea is it's to produce the body. Like, I think is what it's supposed to be, like, and the way that they interpret it here, the judges will say, okay, well, he has to respond immediately. So he's going to say, thanks for your writ. I'm going to need you to give me a brief, on the basis for this writ. So give me, a bunch more documentation and paperwork that I can review. And then once you fill that out and send it to him, then he's going to review it, take some days to review it, and then say, okay, I'm going to now send it, make sure that the DA has a chance to write a rebuttal brief, and then I'll consider that. And so it's the opposite, of the writ of habeas corpus, is to know you need an immediate remedy. And the way that they do it here is they just play these silly games where he'll respond immediately and supposedly, and we'll do this paperwork trail back and forth between the defendant and the prosecution.
Just a quick, this will be my last thing and then I'll bounce. But I think I appreciate you giving me the nudge in the direction of kind of like preparing a manual or something, but I don't strongly feel driven in that direction. I'm not like, but I appreciate it. But I just was going to say, like, maybe possibly auditors, cop watchers might consider learning how to do their own habeas corpus from jail. So this way they don't have to rely on anyone else outside of jail.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole handful of recommendations and advice for people that want to get into doing accountability work, whether it be cop watch or audits or just any kind of checking up on your local government. Like, it's sad where you think that just simply going in and checking up on your local government, you shouldn't need to put all these safeguards in place, expecting that your liberties are going to be trampled on. But that's the situation that we're in, So if you're going to do that, like, you have to recognize that just simply trying to hold your local, regional, county, state, federal government accountable, you are putting a target on yourself, and you are likely going to be taken through the ringer. Like, they're gonna try to crush you in the legal system. So,
Are you aware that you didn't have to file a petition for habeas corpus?
You broke that.
What I'm saying is, are you aware that the fact that you or your loved one there did not have to file a petition for the writ of habeas corpus in order for habeas to be valid in your case? Like, there are statutes in place that can force a judge to issue a writ on your behalf, even though there is no petition filed. Every state has these statutes in place that cause a judge to have to issue this writ, even though nobody has filed a petition. And so I highly recommend also that people start looking up these habeas statutes that require the judge to issue a writ of habeas corpus if they receive probable cause evidence of an illegal detention, like yours was illegal. Yours was, it was unlawful incarceration from my perspective, just based on all the evidence. And, especially even if it wasn't unlawful, the bail was definitely excessive. Having you in there on an excessive bail is what made it unlawful. So there's all these different elements, but yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that you can produce probable cause evidence. Don't you think that that's important? And forget about all that, because that's a long discussion, right? But let me ask you this. Do you feel like you're restrained in your liberty right now, and that habeas?
Absolutely.
Okay. So then it's not the end of habeas corpus for you right now. You can still do something with that, I think.
To what effect?
Anytime your liberty is restrained, even in child support cases, guys, you can use habeas corpus. So why wouldn't you be able to use it right now?
But to what effect? So if we submit this petition for writ of habeas corpus, or we
right,
that file,
the effect would be basically you receiving your liberty back. Any restraint on your like taking you off of house arrest.
Right, but okay. So let's say we get that filed on Monday. Then what?
Right.
What's the
process? What do you mean filed? The filing. Okay, so again, like habeas corpus is a separate civil lawsuit, so you have to be familiar with civil procedure in order to understand the processes. I'm sure you have a vague familiarity, right, with the civil processes.
Okay, so it gets filed, right?
Yeah, and then you have a separate court case. So your case is everything associated with this would be quasi-stayed, right, until we figure out what's going on with this.
Okay, so let's say we do that Monday, then what? What happens?
Well, I think technically speaking, you would have a stay on all of your other actions that pending against you that relate to the habeas.
Would that mean I immediately they take me off of house arrest and they return $50,000?
It might mean that. I'm not saying that they're going to return the $50,000.
And where would this be filed?
You would file it in your local district court.
We're already at the Superior Court level, so we would go back down to Superior Court.
Right. Superior Court is a state court, right? But that here is a court of general jurisdiction. So that's not necessarily a federal court. They might have a jurisdiction to hear matters that are all about the state stuff. But if you want to make sure that your federal claim is heard, you should do it in the federal district court for your state. So this way you can get the substantive law of the state into the question, as well as the federal questions too. In other words, you're going to secure your place into the federal courts by actually putting the claim into the federal district court rather than the state court. But it's still the same substantive law. That's what I'm saying.
So then what happens from there? Like it goes to a federal judge and then he does what?
It goes to a federal judge and he looks at the question at hand and will make a determination. Yeah.
Do they have a timeline that they're required to do that in?
But you get to present things too, like it's not going to be like, yeah, look, if you're trying to like quiz me on whether or not I know like every single detail, yeah, I'm going to have to go and like look at everything. But I know the basics, you know what I mean? Like, and
it seems like to have a basic understanding of it, you should be able. I'm not trying to quiz you to see if you know or don't know. I'm just you're saying you're making it sound like it's a simple thing, and that you can do it from a jail cell, and that it will magically grant you your liberty back. And so I'm like, okay, well that sounds like a wonderful idea. How does it actually play out in the real world? Let's go through the steps.
I can't do that. Every circumstance is different. So it's unfortunate that I can't like say like this is how it's going to play out in the real world as an example. And this is what you can expect. If I said that, I would be misleading everybody.
Yeah. Well,
but it just depends on your circumstances. And every circumstance is different. So, and it's still not a bad idea for people to know what habeas corpus is, know where it's located in their state constitution, know how it's secured in the U.S. Constitution as well, know where the state statutes are that validate their habeas claims. I mean, these are just important things that if you're going to be doing activism, you want to know. So if you don't have to rely on other people, you don't, and if you don't need to, you don't have to, you know what I mean? So it's like,
you said you contacted a judge on my behalf. What judge?
Yeah.
What judge did you contact?
I actually sent some letters. I don't have the name in front of me, but I'd have to pull up the email. But I sent an email and a fax actually to some judges in the place where you were held, the prison town. What was that county? I forgot.
Wake County in Raleigh.
Yeah.
It's Raleigh, North Carolina. It's Wake County. Yeah.
Right. And that's where you were being held, right? And so because that's where you were being held, the person who was holding you was the actual liable party for your incarceration. That's why if it was to do a habeas, it would be on that individual, which was the sheriff. She's a female, right? What was the sheriff's name?
I don't know.
You don't know that? I'm sorry, not the sheriff. The warden of the jail. Do you remember the warden's name?
No.
You don't? Because that's who you were supposed to sue. Because the warden of that jail is the one in custody of you when you're there. So the person you sue is the person who has custody of you. You get what I'm saying? It's pretty easy. I don't know. I mean, it's easy, yet it's not easy. You know what I mean? There's complications to it. And even though there are state statutes, right, there are also probable cause reasons why if, a judge might say, yeah, actually, that's unlawful. That's an illegal incarceration right there. And in your situation, the fact that they had an extremely high bail amount, that would prove that it was unlawful incarceration. It would force the judge's hand to either lower the bail. One of the judges most likely would have had to recuse themselves. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you made any mistakes. I'm just saying that, like, it's important, and I've taken up a lot of time on this call already. I think other people probably want to jump on panel. So, and I'm kind of pussing out here, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, the fucking habeas corpus is still active, as many people like to actually say that it's like been abolished or whatever, but it's actually really still active, because they have states.
I mean, I know of other activists that have been incarcerated and have had a writ filed, and the judge didn't even do anything with it.
I can understand it. I can see why. We'd have to see what their paperwork looked like actually in order to actually make a determination, though, right?
There's like a call flood to have the judge accept the writ, grant the writ, and it. Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, that there are these quote unquote legal protections that are written in the Constitution. The Constitution is a parchment barrier. It's toilet paper. It's words on a paper. And it's not going to save you. You can try to cite it. You can try to cite it in legal documents and stuff. And when you are being attacked in person, that's not. You can have it. You can have it already prepared and written out, like, and present it to them. The people that you're talking to that's abusing you, they don't understand the oath that they swore. They don't understand the Bill of Rights. They don't understand basic morality, and it's like that with the jailers and all the way up to the wardens, and to the sheriffs, and then they're covered by the DA's office. So it's like, it's so corrupt. Like, I'm not saying just roll over and take it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that to put a lot of faith in using their system and their paperwork and their jargon to try to help you get out of the situation may not be the wisest choice. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying that, it may work, but you're dealing with an implicitly corrupt system that doesn't care about their own rules, their own laws, their own constitution.
I don't know about that, because it's the very system that you're saying is implicitly corrupt that is authorized by the people through the constitutions, that is giving these people authority to kind of move for the general welfare.
Authorized by who?
Well, by the people, like I'm saying.
What people?
The body politic in general. All the people that come together to form a society have authorized the form of government.
You can engage with people in a society and not consent to be tormented by people, by the legislative body, by the law enforcers, by the judicial system. You can engage with other human beings in commerce and trade and for the betterment of society without agreeing to be a slave.
That's not I hear you.
And the numbers actually bear that out. Majority of people are not registered to vote. Majority of people do not opt in, do not support the system. And even those that are, registered to vote, I think the majority of them do not vote. So the vast majority of the people of society do not elect the tyrants that are running around calling themselves politicians and creating law. So it's definitely not supported by the people. And the Constitution was written a couple hundred years ago. So there's no people alive that supported that document. So
but limits.
What people are you talking about?
I know what I'm saying to you is that you represent the free people of America. That's what you represent to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But because you are free, right? The Constitution still lives as a limitation on government. And if you chose to, right, you could use the processes, or you could not use the processes, but if you knew the mechanisms, if you were familiar with the mechanisms of the legal system or the lawful system or whatever you want to call it, you'd be able to basically navigate through it, and habeas corpus, you wouldn't even have to use that term. You know what I mean? You just get your habeas without using that term. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like the thing that exists. It's like they have to do certain things because they are limited. That is the way the government works. They're not.
Can I interject? You keep saying things like they have to do this, or they're required to do this, or they're whatever, but they don't. And that's what we keep running into here, is that there's all these things that these judges are supposed to do, that are required to do, that it's illegal for them to do this or that or not do this. And yet they keep breaking all those rules. They keep doing things that are illegal. They keep not doing things that they're required to do, or doing things that they're not allowed to do. Like, at least around here, what we've experienced, these laws and these rules don't matter to the who's who, to the judges. It doesn't apply to them. And they just keep making up stuff and stomping on people around them and enforcing things on everybody else, but they don't have to.
So I agree. Like, if I was way more well versed in the legal system and the legal mechanics, like you're saying, of how to use their jargon and process, to the fullest capacity, would I have a better chance? I don't know. I don't know if I would have a better chance in the legal system here. I think I would have probably more chances. I would have more opportunities, right? More avenues, I'd have more swings, more at bats. But if they're not playing by their own rules, then why would I presume or assume that just because I have more chances and more knowledge of the system that I would actually get a judge that cares to enforce it or follow it? Like, that's what we keep running into. Like, there's no checks and balances. Like, when we went to the legislature and the executive branches, like, to say, hey, these judges are out of control, like, and they're breaking the law, they're violating their oath in the Constitution. Like, what checks and balances we have in the other branches? And nobody in the state government said anything. Like, oh, we can't do anything. They're judges. They're all powerful, essentially. And so, we have a official petition, remonstrance at the House and the Senate at the state level that's supposed to bring one of these judges, into a formal hearing or a quasi trial for impeachment. And
they were supposed to act on that immediately,
right?
Within
and that was
48 hours.
That's been it's been over a month. So it's they don't care. No. Again,
right?
Just like one of the authors, one of the
fuck if they care.
One of the ones that the framers of the Constitution, James Madison, like the actual, funny enough, like the namesake of the town that we live in, Madison, he said multiple times that this is going to be nothing more than a parchment barrier. It's a paper wall. Like it's just words on a page. Like it has to be remembered by the people and demanded by the people, and the people have to back it up with force. Like they knew that the people had to actually take up arms against these tyrants in order for those words to mean anything. That's what the founders were about. That they were very clear in their writings. Like that's why they went to war with their their fellow countrymen, the redcoats. Like the cops of the day, they killed them in the street. I am not supportive of an armed revolution. I think we have to have an evolution of thought and discard these old ways of thinking, of demanding a societal document that a few people wrote and a handful of people agreed to, and supposedly it magically applies to everybody. Like that's just nonsense.
I got you. I don't want to take any more time. There's been other people probably trying to get on panel. Right?
You're good, man. I like talking to you. You can call. You got my number. We've talked on the phone. You give me a call sometime.
All right, man. No, this is fun, definitely. But yeah, no, important things been said on this particular conversation. So I hope we can go again. Let's talk again, man.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I actually forgot the question I started with. We had
no.
What's that?
It's Risk Disabled Writer.
Hey,
she's been here for the whole time.
How's it going?
Oh, you can't ignore me. Sorry. I'm telling my roommate that this is not that we're not on the. I'm not talking to her. Okay. So, anyways. I actually got inspired by your videos, your recent videos, to helping, not helping. How do I put it? To showing other YouTubers doing.
Yeah.
It was this. With blind. Visual impairments. Sorry, I should rephrase that. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm thinking about making some videos of my own with about assisted technology.
Great.
And the good stuff about it and the bad stuff about it, starting with my own experiences. And I was wondering, when I start doing this, I was wondering if I can have you on with me talking about the assisted technology stuff as well for one of the videos.
Sure.
Yeah, yay. That'd be great. And trust me, this is going to be an interesting conversations on it, and especially from what I experienced with, Dragon Naturally Speaking. That's what that's the one that most people with hand disorders have to end up stuck with, and that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah,
to my knowledge. Okay. I'll remember to email you when that time comes. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, we I think we've talked via email too about having you on whenever we move beyond the visual impairment side of things, because we're gonna keep doing these interviews and just share different walks of life, different ways people use assistive tech, and not just tech like electronical technology, but other technology, other devices that are not necessarily electronic in nature that we use to mitigate things and live in daily life. So
I am so worried about you on the 30th, though. That's what I'm really worried
Monday.
about.
Yeah. Going back into the belly of the beast. Yeah.
I want you to bring the assisted technology devices, but I don't know if the judge is going to, they're going to just do the same thing they did last time when you tried.
Yeah.
And that's even worse. Those sheriff's deputies should have been pointing the guns at everyone who's trying to stop you, not the other way around.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know like I'm over dramatizing it, but yeah.
They admitted, they admitted, it's in several videos of the people that were there that recorded it. They admitted that they didn't have, they didn't swear in their oaths to uphold and follow the judge's orders. It's just not part of what they swore to do. Like to get the position that they're in, they had to swear an oath, right, to follow and uphold the Constitution, and then part of their oath in law enforcement is the laws of the state, which to me, like, there's so much contradiction in laws of the state in the U.S. Constitution that anytime a law enforcement officer swears that, like, they're lying. You can't do both. You can't uphold the U.S. Constitution and all the laws of the state. So the first official act that all law enforcement take is to make a life oath that is false. They're swearing falsely. They're lying, and that's that's what we have to deal with. Like that, they don't take a course on it. They don't have a prerequisite before swearing that oath to understand exactly what they're swearing. They're just doing it, and it's just words. They're doing it because prerequisite.
By the way, I keep saying this. If a judge ever says to you, well, you can have your wife come in instead of your devices, have your wife tell the judge, I charge $1 million an hour.
Yeah.
Because you're not a slave. You should not
be
forced to do it for no pay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if he says, I can't afford $1 million, or you pay $1 million, you say, my devices are free. My wife is not. That's the end of discussion.
Yeah.
That's how that solves that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. I just wanted to say all that stuff, and good luck on Monday. All
right.
I'll keep listening to the video, but I'm gonna head out. Bye.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Cool. There was somebody that was trying to get up on the panel that keeps coming on and then like vanishing. So I have not successfully.
Okay. Well, I can put the link in again and then catch me up on anything in the chat if you need to.
You probably want to go back and listen to this one. Eric's been posting lots of different little helpful things. He said State v. Jones found that the $30,000 bond on felony armed robbery was much higher than usual, but the cited evidence in the case revealed a substantial safety risk to the community. Your record, void. So I think there's a whole strand of stuff that connects to that.
Yeah.
Somebody, let's see. Yeah, I mean, like, they're just chatting about the new normal will be making an example of all auditors. They asked if we heard about James Freeman.
Yeah, we heard about James.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any update on it, though.
Update was he was bonded out or whatever, $1,000. They charged him with aggravated assault.
Wow.
And resisting an officer, I think it was. I'm like, what? It's like, apparently it's assault if a cop's fist punches, gets bruised on your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
They choose to make physical contact, throw you to the ground, and so then they
tased him multiple times.
They dive on you or tackle you, or they go to the ground themselves. Like, oh, I scuffed my knee.
I skinned my knee. I hit my thumb. I bruised my knuckles. Yeah. So that's I got that from unsub, I think. I'll go confirm that because I don't want to say it wrong. But yeah, it's completely insane.
Yeah, no, that's with everything else that's going on with the tyrannical edicts from all these quote unquote governors and mayors and all this nonsense going on, like to believe in the Bill of Rights that it's that it's there to protect you, or that the Constitution is there to protect you, or that anybody is there to protect you, you know, other than yourself and the people that you have built that trust with and you can rely on to protect you. Not just some religious belief that the police are there to protect you, because that's all it is. It's an indoctrinated religious belief that the police are there to protect you. It's their propaganda, like, because they're not. Like this belief that, you know, some man in the sky is going to come protect you, or, you know, some whatever, like that you have a savior that's going to come save you, like from the tyranny. You know, it's just not founded. Like, give us evidence, produce evidence that somebody has swooped in and saved somebody, and if so, then do you recommend that that's the way that everybody should live, to just hope and pray that somebody's going to swoop in and save you anytime there's trouble? Like, so I mean, I appreciate Audatron's stance of, you know, educate yourself and be prepared as best you can.
Yeah.
However, like, trying to play the game by the tyrant's rules, like in their arena where they presume themselves to be all powerful, like, doesn't necessarily set you up for the best way of protecting yourself.
We've got political trance.
What's up, bud?
Hey,
And
what's up?
My audio is weird on this end. Do you know who this is?
She said political trance. Is that right?
All I heard is a bunch of chatter. It sounds like chipmunks on my end.
Let's try again. Is that any
It was
better?
clear for a second. That's why I kept disappearing.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Can you hear me now?
Give me just a minute. Hang on. I'm gonna turn my camera off. Let's see if the
Extra
yeah.
good citizens watching on Twitch.
Hey,
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work.
are we on live
It's
right now?
clear at the moment.
I don't know. All right, you can hear us?
Yeah, it's clear at the moment.
Is it political trance? Is that who it is?
Political trance. What's up, bud?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Man, I'm so blessed and highly favored no matter what the storm is blowing. I've just been so sad watching what's happening to you, but excited at the same time. And I want to say kudos to you for being a freedom fighter. You know, I know it's tough, but you know why you're doing it, and you know why you're going through the toughness, and I applaud you, bro. Hadn't talked to you, you know, since we were together auditing, and you know, hurricanes blew through. I'm a tree service. I had to go, and there was one of them right after the other one, back to back. So I was out of pocket for a long time, but I'm back. About to head back to California, and I saw you on live here, and I just wanted to say, hey, man, I really appreciate you and putting yourself in harm's way. Putting yourself in harm's way.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for popping up. And we were just talking about how, I don't know, I guess I really want to have more feedback from people and maybe have a discussion that doesn't have to be right now on the efficiency or the effectiveness of some of our tactics of going to hold government accountable, you know, with a camera, with some kind of recording device, with doing public records, you know, just to find out how and what they're doing, and to challenge the things that they're doing that's just on a basic level breaking their own rules and laws and contracts and constitution. Like how effective have we been, you know, as individuals? How effective have we been if there's any kind of class action lawsuits? Like, I know there's a big one in Leon Valley and a few others, you know. So, like, what's the effectiveness? Like, does it actually make any lasting change? You know, if they change police policy after murdering a bunch of people, you know, does that stop them murdering people, or do they just find other ways to murder people? You know, do they shuffle the deck, and the murderers, they may let them go, they you know, they may reassign them or whatever, and then they find work somewhere else. Like, you know, what's the effectiveness of this kind of approach of accountability in government? And is it a priority right now when we have such tyranny going on wholesale everywhere? You have these tyrants making edicts telling people what they have to wear, like they're, you know, what they must wear on their body, you know, where they can go, like putting curfews on their body, like all these just basic liberties are being trampled on wholesale. Like, I think, I don't know. Any input on that?
Dude, when I first, of course, I'm a baby in the auditing community, right? I've had my channel like for 8 years, but I've only just recently launched it. And as soon as I did, and I was around you, one of my first observations is, hey, why aren't we still able to do this? Why aren't we met with at least, if not respect, met with understanding of what we're doing and not getting our rights trampled on as we're going out with cameras recording in public, because it's been all over the internet and YouTube for how many years now?
Yeah.
How many thousands of people? It boggles my mind that the masses don't already know about auditing, First Amendment auditing specifically, but civil rights in general. We as a nation do not know who we are. That's what it boils down to. Are we effective? I think so. About that much, but that's really all it takes. How many people? How many people did it take to win the famous war in the Bible? Just a few hundred. There's the movie 300. The
Battle of Thermopylae. Yeah.
Yeah, it boggles my mind that we can go out and have such a small splash to just awareness. How are we making it into the system? Not very far. Why? Because we have what I call the deep state. There's people who don't want freedom to reign.
So that's why, like, our approach on the channel, like we did a video, I don't know, a handful of videos back where we talked about changing focus or changing gears on our approach with this channel, that it won't necessarily be focused on being me, boots on the ground, doing accountability checks, but will be to continue the conversation to help people realize that America is gone. Like, the United States of America is lost. It is gone. Like, it is beyond salvaging. And I don't think it's even worth trying to salvage that and try to bring it back to what it was supposed to be. Because even in the founding documents, you have some horrendous language. In the Declaration of Independence, you have talking about the savages, of the native people. And then you have the 3/5 clause and the Constitution for people of color. And it's just, there's so much wrong with it. There's so much, just the premise that there has to be some piece of paper that is going to magically protect and restrain those that wish to govern. Like, it's either and made the government the way that it was intended to make, or it's powerless to stop it. It's been powerless to stop it from becoming what it has become. And so it's ineffective. So why are we trying to hold them to that account and try to recreate or bring that back? And I think it's lost. I think we lost them.
Yeah, we have Trump said in big role.
So I think that if that is the focus of our efforts, is to try to recreate government or, repair it somehow, I think that's never been our focus. Our focus has been to simply turn on the light and find out how many cockroaches are in each building that we went to. And so the people could see, this is how bad the state of affairs are. This is how decayed this is. The foundation has been eroded. Like, this thing's about to fall in on itself. Like, do you still want to blindly follow this system and support it? Like, how about we opt out? How about we figure out ways to live freely and stop supporting the parasites?
Hey, Mike, thanks for your insight and your knowledge and sharing your thoughts and ideas. It's how things are done, and I really appreciate all of the things that you say. I don't agree with them all, but I appreciate the fact that you take the time to share them with people to get them thinking. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. The other thing is, I wanted to address, a lot of people keep saying that somebody needs to mute their mic, Big Earl or somebody. I got a bunch of feedback. Thank you. Anyway, people always say, well, they have to do this or they can't do that, or they're supposed to do this when referring to the courts
Right.
and law enforcement. And people have this idea that things are black and white and they just go the way that the book says they're supposed to go. Well, I think you're finding out, Mike, and you probably already knew this, and many people that have been through the situation that you're going through and other situations realize that the judges do just do whatever they want to do because there is no real accountability.
Yeah.
So
I was listening to one of, there's a feedback going on.
I think it's Trump says too. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
I was listening to one of the court broadcasts. I think it was on Otter the Watchdog's channel recently. And they just had person after person come in, and they already had talked with the prosecutor. Like, yeah, we, have this deal, this plea deal. And, they're pleading guilty, even though they, spoke a little bit and said, no, I didn't do the thing. Like one of them was a lady was charged for having quote unquote drug paraphernalia, right? And she proved that she used it for CBD and not for something else that they were accusing her of. And they already, agreed on that fact. Yet she took the plea deal anyway and was still fined a couple $100. But then it was like a deferred something or other, deferred agreement. I don't know, but the lingo on it. Essentially, the charge would be dismissed after several months and after she paid a couple $100 agreed upon amount for court cost. And so I think people do this simple arithmetic. They do this simple assessment of how much is this going to cost me and my family? How much time, energy, headache, money, is this going to cost me to fight in court, to go to court, if it's a civil traffic ticket, right? I think people do the math on that and say, okay, well, I can go in or I can pay an attorney a few $100s and they write some bull crap stuff and say, oh, it was faulty equipment or whatever, and then you don't get points on your license or whatever it is. And so they do this simple arithmetic and say, okay, I'm just going to plead guilty, pay the fine, and pay a couple $100 versus paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a lawyer that's going to go in and you're going to lose, right? And then you have to pay another $5,000, $10,000 to appeal, and then you get a trial, and then you have all the time and effort and all that stuff. And people say, well, I don't have that kind of time and effort and money to take off from work, to put into this, to fight for this, for what? I think it's really sad, like, because the system is messed up to the extent it is because the lack of people fighting, the lack of people saying, okay, I'm going to do the hard way. I'm going to take the hard road. I'm going to fight. I'm going to pay the extra cost. I'm going to take the extra time. Right. But then even if you do that, you can still get screwed. Even if you do all that effort and money and time, you can still get railroaded by the system just as hard or harder, because now you have all this extra time and money invested, and then you can get the full punishment, right? Or more than the full punishment, which in my case, right? So there's people, I think they just say, I don't want to deal with government at all. I want to try to limit my exposure in time and dealing and money. And so they take the shortest route out of there and pay the little thing. If they have to agree to something, whatever, they'll do it. And I don't know if at this point, I don't know if that's the wiser choice or not, because at least here they're showing that if you insist on justice and the principles that the system's supposed to be built on, that you're going to be punished severely for it. So do I think this is going to make a change in the system, our efforts? No, not at all. I don't think so. Will it help people see that the system is beyond repair? Maybe. And that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps us, that's the driver of the channel. And originally is to expose human suffering and say, hey, we need to stop. We need to stop contributing into these systems of suffering that are built that way from its inception. So go ahead, man. You still there?
Yeah, he's there. He muted because it was second.
Okay.
Those are great points, Mike. You answered some of your own questions. You know, you said that even if you pay all the tens of thousands of dollars, even if you're right according to law, even if you go through the whole process, you're still going to potentially be punished even worse than if you were to just take a plea. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it all. And so I want to say this. I don't believe that we can change anything in the manner in which the attempts are being made currently. I do believe that the Constitution gives us a route to go, or Patrick DeCambra said it in chat earlier. We give the government the authority to govern us, and we have the right to take that authority back from the government and to recreate the system under which we live. The system is broken, and it's like you said, it's broken beyond repair, Mike. But unfortunately, it takes balls, brother, big balls, to make big changes. And there's just not that many people willing to make the sacrifice. They'd rather, work their 9 to 5, go home, have their dinner, watch some TV, maybe some YouTube, go to sleep and get up and do it again, rather than to fight for freedom. Yeah. There's not a lot of people, Mike, you know this, that are willing to put it all on the line. Yeah. And I'm talking about putting it all on the line, brother. Not just your freedom, but your life on the line to make the changes necessary to start over or to make the corrections. But I appreciate people that fight for their rights. I do. I just sit back and shake my head knowing that the judges at every single level, when you get through the circuit court, you think that the district court's going to do the right thing, or when you get through the district court, you think the appeals court, is going to do the right. When you get through that, you think that the Supreme Court of the state is going to finally do the right thing. When you get through the Supreme Court of the state, you think that the United States Supreme Court is going to do the right thing. And let me explain to you one thing. The United States Supreme Court ruled 4 different times on these restrictions for religious gatherings under the COVID-19. 4 times they ruled against the religions and the churches. Then, just the other day, they rule in New York for the churches and against the governor. Okay, so you have a contradiction in rulings from the same exact judges on 4 different cases. You have 4 different rulings with the same laws applying in every single case. So the interpretation is the excuse that they use. They interpret this law to mean this. They interpret that law to mean that. They interpret this one. This judge has a different interpretation than that judge has, and that judge has a different interpretation than the other judge has. No, there is no consistency. There is there's nothing there, Mike, other than somebody sitting on a bench making a decision regarding your life And no matter what decision they make, right, wrong, or indifferent, there is zero accountability.
Yeah. Well, I think what political trance was getting at was it takes a few like the numbers, at least that I'm aware of, for the American Revolution was 3% of the population took up arms against the British, to correct or replace this broken, corrupt system. It's going to have to come to an armed conflict. Now, I think a lot of people are probably sensing that or believing that because that's what history has shown. But if you also look at peaceful revolutions where they didn't take up arms, nonviolent resistance, those made far greater, far longer lasting changes in their society and their areas than the armed revolutions. And armed conflicts, armed revolutions typically yield a regime change that is worse within 20 years of the conflict than the one that they replaced or outed. So,
Mike, I think you know as well as I do, if we were to have an armed revolution, this country would be invaded so quickly by the Chinese, the Russians, the Muslims from around the world, which are already here on the ground. It would be, I mean, we would be fighting. We wouldn't only be fighting each other, we would be fighting the rest of the world.
I don't subscribe to that theory. I think maybe after the smoke settled, maybe there would be some opportunity for other militaries to pose a threat, but I don't know. I think the way forward is a nonviolent, evolution of thought rather than revolution. And we need to have an evolution of thought and discard these old systems, these old paradigms.
I agree.
And disregard the religion of government altogether and learn how to live peacefully with each other. We have such capability with technology, and especially with decentralized technologies like blockchain technology and all the things that are coming out now in that arena where there's no centralized control, can't be throttled or censored. And so it's, I don't know. I think there's a lot of hope for humanity, but there's also a lot of opposition. And right now, I think it's probably going to get darker before it gets brighter. And
well, I think we're finally getting closer to that point. You're right, Mike. But what good is a constitution or a law if no one follows it? It's no good. And so the people enforcing the laws, the people that are doling out the sentences, they're not even following their own laws.
Yeah, I recommend read some Lysander Spooner if you haven't already, and he talks about exactly what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, take care of yourself. Take care of the family. Good luck. Sorry I can't do more to help you. I love you, brother. Stay strong.
Thanks. Who we have?
Margaret Frogmother.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Oh, she was here a minute ago.
Hello. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to tell you something about Patriot Academy, where I see on the Constitution and its history and stuff, and had.
You're breaking up a lot with us. Can you try a different microphone setup, maybe?
Okay, I'll come back in and try a different microphone.
Okay.
working on something else.
Anything in the chat?
Eric asked earlier if we could explain exactly which court hearing and what question on Monday.
So this coming Monday, and here in a couple of days on the 30th, it's in Rockingham County Superior Court. It's 10 a.m. I don't know the judge or any of that stuff right now, but it was just, we have a bond motion that is set to be heard, and I don't know what else is set to be heard for that hearing. So I just know that that's one of the things for us to go in and talk about, hopefully clear up.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had more information. I just don't.
Yeah. Manny Pants is on the panel. Just so you guys know, I mute your mics. I'm trying to remember to do that before I add you to the panel. That way you're not surprised and we don't get extra stuff. So
yeah.
When you pop up here, you are muted. You'll have to unmute yourself to talk.
I only got a few more minutes in me.
Yeah.
This light's coming.
Until you're petering out there.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
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 Sorry, the sound kept going off for me.
Oh, yeah. A couple of people are having trouble with that.
I really need to ask people this question. It seems like the only people that are bothered about the constitutional rights in America are people within this community. Because you watch all the videos and all the public are on the side of the police.
Yeah.
And it's very rare you get anybody supporting you. And then I look at people like, what's he called, Donut, that idiot, and a lot of the people that are pro the cops, and they've got hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm at a total loss to understand the people in your country.
Don't assign the country to me. It's not my country.
No, I know, but I would genuinely say
I claim no association with the United States.
But the majority, what are they playing on?
Yeah. No, you're spot on. We've talked to, old friends and family and just anybody that we can, whenever we engage with people locally, most of it, I think, is vast ignorance of what the Constitution actually says, what the intention behind it, like the legal intent behind it. They have no fundamental grasp of just basic human rights, regardless of the Constitution, and they also don't
I'm gonna
put
go
two and two together. They don't use much deductive reasoning, and they ignore the atrocities that are committed by the law enforcement because it creates too much cognitive dissonance. They have to it goes against like a 15,000 hour indoctrination that they've undergone, like through public schooling or even private schooling, like the belief that the system is just and that those in it are some heroes or they models of justice, and like it's just not reality. People believe they get what's mainstream media pumps out every day, all the garbage, and they believe we were in Mexico, right? When we were traveling Mexico last year, we would get messages from loved ones because they caught something on the news about a vicious multiple homicide somewhere in Mexico. Mexico is a huge country. It's a big country, right? And we're like 8,000 miles away from wherever this thing happened. Or not that, maybe 3,000, 3,000 miles away from where this thing happened. And on the other side of Mexico. And and I'm like, why do you text somebody in California for something that happened in New York? Like what do you there is no rationale. There's no rational thought behind it. There's just fear-based programming and that they react to, and they don't. It's the way it's set up. Like, it's very common. What you said is very common. And you try to have rational conversations with people about this, and you run into that indoctrination. You run into that programming, and you get very guttural, very primal, very angry, fear-based responses, because they just start regurgitating whatever the talking head said, and won't stop to actually think for themselves to have a conversation. And then they get angry because they can't think for themselves. And none of the regurgitation that they're spitting out is going anywhere with the conversation, because they can't validate it. They can't have any evidence for it. They don't know any logical steps on how the talking head got to that point. It's just, oh, well, the guy on the TV said so it's true.
It's very, very, very difficult to help someone reason out of something, an idea that they never reasoned into. They didn't use logic and reason to get there.
Yeah.
No,
So it's really hard to use that in a good way.
Your mainstream media is so responsible for this as well, or greatly responsible. I mean, I watched, I don't know if you saw, there was a video of a guy that was at a Trump rally getting floored by a black person. And it was like a 30-second clip on the news. But if you watched the whole video, which I'd seen the day before, he was punching and hitting and God knows what, all these BLM people before he got floored. And all your media showed was that one punch.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to drop out because I can't hear what you're saying at all when I'm on this chat. So I'll see you in chat.
All right. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Blind Justice. How have you been doing?
Hanging in.
You know this one?
Is that Mouse?
I hear that. Yes, you bet.
Hey,
I wanted to add something about what Auditron was saying. The habeas corpus is still being used. It is used for any liberty infringement. If you can show an improper use that would restrict your liberty, that is the purpose of the habeas corpus. Now, when I was incarcerated, when I was first incarcerated, a lot of people were trying to file habeas corpus. All right. The second time around that I was incarcerated, I wound up going to actual prison, where they stopped filing what they were referring to as a habeas corpus as a title. Now, the body and everything else reads exactly the same. However, instead, they were using the title of mandamus, and then including the mandate in which they were supposed to follow, which they didn't. This is being used by others, although it is still the function of a habeas corpus. The habeas corpus really doesn't have room for an opinion, so there wouldn't be a decision. There would just simply be an on-off switch. Does it belong to be on or off? And that's been very successful as a mandamus. So again, I would follow that, and I would find out about what they're filing in your local, because that information is strictly for Illinois and St. Louis.
All right.
Okay, I don't know about locally. I haven't been involved in a habeas. The other thing I wanted to ask is, have we had any feedback on the remonstrance? Everyone has had a lot of hope in that, and it was so well written.
Nothing yet.
No,
And we were told on a lot of the calls to wait until the election. Until the election's over, and we haven't heard
again,
anything.
From what I can tell, they do have a choice in as form as discretions to call a special meeting.
Right.
Okay. However, in order to call a special meeting, normally these guys are all milling around in the same building. You walk in, things will be handled in a normal fashion. Considering COVID, I would sit there and give them, well, you know what? I understand about COVID and stuff, but this is only either a 3-man panel or a 5-man panel. You can do it over the internet. If you can arrange to go ahead and have a meeting on this, since normally it would be handled in everyday house routine because there's always someone available. Now, I want to make mention here that even though there's been a couple of misadventures, there's been huge successes here. I went down to the courthouse and they had actually closed the actual court that day. Everybody that was coming to court was being sent away. But the thing of it is, I wasn't satisfied with that. So I went ahead and I made a motion to continue. And I filed that then, and I asked her to go ahead. This way, not only does it show that I've been here, that I did have an appearance of some type in front of the judge, so it would release me because they had arrested Eric Brandt because he appeared by WebEx. And I'm not going to have that done to me. The bailiff came over. They were all interested in what I was doing, and I explained it. They arrested Eric Brandt for showing up on WebEx, and he lives clear down south in southern Colorado. So anyway, they did forward this to the judge that was there. There's always a judge present. Now, that would also go for things that would have to be done at the House level as well. They have these people available. There's no reason that you shouldn't ask, since it is after the election. And I can help you with some of the phone work.
Yeah. You definitely need to follow up and, call them and say, hey, what's going on? But, we've had other.
No, it's gone through at least 4 times.
Oh, really?
So every single person in the General Assembly has gotten a phone call 4 times.
Oh,
at
wow.
least. And that's just one of the people who's done it for us.
Okay.
I just got a message.
Well, I did break some ice there, and I gave you some of the information who I talked to. I don't know if we should repeat that effort again, or whether we should go back to the what do they call that? The clerk. Yeah. I think that the clerk can actually post that, to be heard. And there, like I said, there's people there.
Yeah.
I think that the answer after the election, it's after the election.
Yeah, I agree. I'll reach out to him this week. Assuming I'll be free to do that. But
I don't know what latches or legalities they still have over you. Has this matter been closed as far as the lower court is concerned? Has this all been moved to appeal?
Yeah, we're in Superior Court now, which is this Monday morning. So
okay,
but it's the same physical location as the lower court, and so it's going to be the same deputies that kidnapped me they're trying to get entrance before. So they clearly have no interest in upholding their oath to the Constitution and have no qualms about violating it. And
here's something that is specific to the judge's orders that I caught. He said in his courtroom, in those orders, that nobody will have that unless they talk to him. Well, you were never allowed to get past the front step by the bailiff, which was extending the judge's order, increasing the order from the door of the courtroom to the door of the courthouse.
A lot of people don't realize also that when I tried to get entry, I was still awaiting response from email communication with the judge, like where I had replied to his threats and his denial and was asking for clarification on what exactly, because I had an upgrade in some of my technology, and some different things. And I was like, hey, I need to get clarification on where I can use specific things, where I can't, and there was no response. So I was still there trying to get clarification on that, and they would not relay any message. They would not talk to me. They said they would only talk to my attorney. And then physically.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about being pro se. They want to sit there and have the discussion about being an attorney.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually more powerful than an attorney, because everything that comes out of my mouth is testimony as pro se. Now, the gentleman that's standing over there, everything that comes out of his mouth is disregarded air. He's an attorney. He's not liable for anything that he says. Anything that he says is not necessarily pertinent to the case. And he has a liability exemption that allows him to present his client's best interest, even if it regards misleading the court. And that's what their job is. They have to look after the interest of their client. Now, so if we have this environment and we have a judge that is sitting there responding to the other person under pro se, you can sit there and bind that judge now using the actual pro se being the fact that anything that you say can and will be used in the courtroom, since it was in the courtroom and you are a first person witness to the entire event. Can you show anyone with a higher standing? The issue of standing is your highest issue when you come to court. Whoever has a higher standing, a higher complaint, a larger magnitude is the one that wins. And you have a very severe magnitude, but they're belittling it and making it sound like it's frivolous. It isn't. The equipment that you were given was under the supervision and directly related to your disability. There's no other argument than that. It's the same thing as asking somebody with a guide dog, why do you have that dog? Is it for epilepsy? Is it for this? Is it for that? You can't ask those questions. And to question your electronics is the same difference as to diagnose you. They are not medical doctors, and asking those questions is a HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
So why don't we start there? It's a HIPAA violation when you walked in the door.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I am going to call it and say we need to wrap up.
Well, I didn't want to come in. I wanted to reinforce what Auditron was saying. He does know what stuff about the Habeas a lot better than I do. Okay, there was a lot of other people that were working with that. There wasn't too much success, but I will tell you, the ones that did have used the word mandamus as a title.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not trying to deter anybody's efforts or poop on it at all. I'm just.
Well, he does need details in order to be able to, create the grievance. I mean, that's been part of my problem. Sometimes I've been trying to help somebody. They say, "Great, type it up for me." It's like I'm stuck there. It's like, type what? I haven't been able to interview.
Well, I'm simply communicating that trying to play the game that's rigged may not work out for you. It may. You can take you can take 50 shots and hope that one of them lands, or you can take fewer shots and minimize the damage to you. I think most people take.
Let me tell you a secret in court. Okay, the word act. It's an act of the law. It's an act of this. It's an act of that. It comes from a very old tradition. It used to be a complete monarchy. Okay, and the king would get together with a couple of guys and he'd say, "This is what I want to happen." They would go out and create the scenario legally or described within their majestic way, okay, the decree that the king made, and they would act it out to something similar to our parliament, okay, as an act, as a play, as this is the cause of the king doing this, and now does everyone agree and understand? Go out and do this. And this is carried over, the tradition is carried over to our court as well as the terminology. And that's directly from the stage. Now, when you go into the court, remember the audience behind you. When they try to seal that court, that's when you know you're in big trouble because they're hiding everything.
Yeah.
But if you've got that audience behind you and you've got open records, make sure that you keep those things in the record. If you do not claim it, you cannot argue it. If you don't have a claim that, you have a right to own a dog, guess what? You don't have a right to own a dog, because in your defense, if you do not claim your right prior to, or to show the right prior to their infraction, the first fault, okay, becomes your infraction on your right. Now, what is that? Converting a right into a crime, and that's exactly what they did. I think it's Is it Miller versus?
Supposedly, here Superior Court may be a court of record, so I don't know.
That's the other issue. I don't understand.
Hang on. Hold on. Do you need to wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to stop.
Yeah,
I think you're going to talk a lot. I love you.
No, the next question was, what he was talking about is a court of record. I don't know if they actually held one. All right, so.
Yeah,
all
we'll
right.
find out because I'm pretty sure it is a court.
Well, if there's something specific you need, just let me know. You got my email. Or
all
call
right.
me.
Thanks, Mouse.
All right,
thanks,
man.
everybody, appreciate you coming. My head's killing me. I'm going to go.
Go. I got them. All right, fam. We will catch y'all later.